No time like the present, right, Hyde? Loading screens? We don't need loading screens. Oh yeah. Yeah, this feels absolutely gross. Having not streamed in, I don't know, 3 weeks. I'm not even going to announce this one. This one is just going to happen. It's gonna happen live, and if you're not here for it, well, so be it. You're not here for it. Harry Hyde's here. Hey there, hi there, Harry Hyde. This is absolutely heinous. We were playing Disco Elysium, yes. So, give the standard disclosure. Disco Elysium is a game that covers themes which may or may not be appropriate for all audiences. Use your own discretion. If, adult themes, or perhaps... There are themes of racial prejudice in this game. If those kind of things aren't for you, then please don't force yourself through this stream. Yeah. I don't blame you. I can't blame you, in fact. Those aren't really themes I like either. But it is necessary from time to time for art to examine these themes, right? The lens of art helps us gain a new perspective on even the heaviest of topics. And I do think video games can enter the realm of art. I don't think there's any kind of... I don't know. Any kind of means preventing that from being the case. I think any kind of medium could be turned into an art form. It's not really the materials that make it art. You can have shitty oil paintings made from the finest medieval paints and mercury-based pigments. And it might not be art. But you can also have something scribbled on construction paper using crayon, and that could be art, right? There's nothing out there saying that art is determined by the quality of the medium. So, being a video game doesn't really stop us from enjoying the medium of this art. Yes. We're gonna continue here. I don't even remember what we were doing. We were trying to get a body out of a tree, I think. And I stole someone's gloves. And I'm pantsless. Of course I'm pantsless. Welcome to Raphael. I don't care. I'm just gonna walk past these people. I want to go up here, and I want to talk to, this guy knows... Scab? Who are you calling a scab? Do I look like a scab? Do I look bloody? Do I look broken? Do I look bruised? Of course I'm not a scab. Scabs require oxygen, and as you know, I do not have oxygen. Alcohol is full of antioxidants, and I have to assume that 90% of my blood is alcohol, which makes it 90% antioxidant. What exactly is a scab?
A kind of a worm, content with mere survival. They come, they want to do our job for shittier pay, screwing over both themselves and us. Everybody loses.
Well, that doesn't sound like me at all, to be honest. Like, I'm supposed to get a body out of a tree. Where did they all come from, though?
Beats me. Somewhere in the ground, I think.
Right, that would make sense if they're worms. You don't seem to like them much.
Gotta be bloody stupid or freaking evil to scab. Or I guess, scared maybe. But scared of what? Of who?
Of whom? He looks at the mask, squinting his eyes as if trying to ascertain what they're scared of. Call me mañana. I feel like you're demonizing these people. Even you recognize that maybe they're just scared. Like, what? Why are you going off on the rails, initially calling them bloody stupid or freaking evil? You're attributing malice to something which could just be simply survival. There's nothing wrong with trying to survive. Like, humans are out there living miserable lives. And I'm happy that not all humans are living miserable lives, but some humans do. And the problem with some humans living miserable lives is that, well, they need to do what they need to do. And I can't exactly judge them for that. So call me mañana. I think you're trying to be a little bit distancing in your relationships with these scabs. Maybe if you humanize them a bit more, you could better see eye to eye with them.
Personally, I'd rather beg than scab. If the gentleman shouting on the street came begging, maybe they'd have gotten something.
I don't know if it is better than begging. I think begging is an option. Like, a lot of people, they'll tell you that there are problems all around, right? That some options aren't exactly the best options. That's true. There might be an objectively best option out there. But at the same time, I don't know if I could compare them and say this is better than that. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's fair. Have you tried talking to them, mañana?
We've explained the matters, but they don't listen. This lot would be reasonable and go home if the big guy wasn't riling them up all the time.
Hi, Diana. Yes, I am alive. I live. I am alive. Somehow. Hyde's mostly here, as the case may be. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. I do apologize. You didn't miss much. We're discussing the nature of scabs here with Call Me Mañana. Which I always found strange. The name Call Me Mañana. He's a very lazy person, telling you to call him tomorrow. Or, wait, mañana? Is that yesterday? Oh, I can't even remember. Call me a different day, not today. Yeah. We're talking about the merits of doing what you need to do to survive. Which is a poignant message, I think. I think you've got to do whatever you need to do. Right. So, you've explained things, mañana, but have you tried listening to their point of view? Sure, they have ridiculous claims. Not every member of the of the strikers can be a member of the board. That's just ridiculous. It would get to a gridlock situation. Nothing would get done. I guarantee that. But at the same time, calling every scab, foolish or irresponsible for, or any of those kind of things, I don't know, it's very judgmental. I think maybe if you listened instead of talked, things would go a little bit better. Tell me exactly, tell me about this right to work that you think we don't have.
Good one, officer. Don't worry. We here have solidarity with the RCM.
So you already know I'm a cop. That's not gonna get us anywhere, is it?
Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, let us cop for less money.
He chuckles and realizes, what do you realize? Have you realized that I've left a tree, or a corpse in a tree for a week now? If someone wants to get that corpse out of that tree for less money than what they're paying me, I will pay them from my own salary.
Speaking of, what brings the RCM here? To the wild north? Come to see the strife?
Again, a body in a tree. I'm a bit short on money. Can you give me some of it? Sure thing, my friend. I can help you out. He flips a coin towards you. Ooh, we do not have hand-eye coordination. As I was saying earlier, I think 90% of my blood is, alcohol. We'll try to catch it. Failure! The coin narrowly slips by your outstretched fingers and falls to the ground. Can we pick it up? Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to throw it like that. It's a thing we harbor folk do, passing around cargo and such. He rubs the back of his head. It was not meant as provocation or ridicule. I think you were kind of mocking me. Actually, look at that face. That face in the portrait there. It doesn't look like a face that would be provocative or ridiculing, right? He just looks happy-go-lucky. I can't be angry at this guy. Lieutenant Kitsuragi picks up the coin and hands it to you. I almost had a heart attack. When? When did you almost have a heart attack? I've probably had like 3 heart attacks now. I'm really sorry, friend. Fritz nearby, get some Nosafed. He points to the boutique just right of him. Good stuff, helps against heart attacks too. I wish we lived in a world where like allergy nasal inhalers would help you with heart attacks. That would be fantastic. Did I say that right? I think I did. I haven't really been recording or streaming as of late. I know, where have I been for 3 weeks? Doing stuff. I needed to take some me time, and that's about the extent of it. I would always be prepared to help anyone with a heart attack. You know, I thought the same thing. Oh, you meant because you have allergies. Yeah, okay. I am sorry for your allergies. They are pretty bad this year around here. The pollen counts are way up. They're like skyrocketing. It's not great. I don't know. Like, this one time I saw an old lady collapse in a hotel parking lot. She was with her daughter. Her daughter was an adult, older than me, of course. And the old lady, who I assume was her mother, because I think she said something like mother, she fell getting out of a car. And I thought I'd be the type of person who would go up and help, but instead I was the type of person who was like, what just happened? You know? Like, is this real? Did an old lady just fall out of a car? She looked fine, like she wasn't bleeding or anything. But with the elderly, you do have to be careful. And I was trained in first aid, right? In high school, we all had to do first aid training, get first aid certified. So I could have probably helped. But anyone in America had to go through the same training. So I don't think I would have been much help, in fact, at that point. But I would have liked to have I would have liked to have thought that I'd be the type of person who would be ready to help anyone at a moment's notice. But when it actually happens, like, sometimes you just freeze up. You don't really understand what's happening, you can't process it. It's always scary. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Some of them have difficulty walking. Mobility issues are very, very prevalent among the aged. Not just the elderly, but yeah, the aged and the poor of health. It's always concerning watching them totter. They're like, as strange as it is to say it, they're like children. Like, have you ever watched a 2-year-old trying to run around some kind of area, and they just immediately faceplant because they have those unsteady legs? It's like the exact same thing, it just happens at an older age. I don't know if that's better or worse, but it's definitely something that happens, and I can completely understand why you'd be anxious. Yeah, the steadiness. The lack of steadiness, more like it, right? Yeah, they're very unsteady on their feet. Very uncoordinated, right? Like, you don't see too many toddlers or elderly out there in extreme sports. They're not known for their ability to be, you know, well balanced on their feet. It's not something they do. But yeah, I don't know. I would have liked to have thought that I would help people, even if I was in a position to do so. But apparently not, no. I'm the type who sometimes freezes up, doesn't understand what they're looking at. Yeah. I've come to Martinez investigating a murder. Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder. I couldn't pay you, like a scab. You want to investigate a murder for me? You can get a quarter of my pay from my own paycheck if you want to get that body out of a tree for me. You're right, it's almost impossible. I'm 91% sure I'll never get it solved. That's optimism right there. There's a 9% chance that I'm giving myself. Probably not, he nods. I wouldn't even know where to start with that. Much better here at the Arbor. For an honest union man like me. Okay, fine. What is strikes about anyway? You know, serious business, he smiles. I'm sure the big boss would be glad to tell you. You'll have to ask him first. He's a chatty guy. Wants to talk about the strike. Return once you've met the union boss, and are on better footing with the organization. Fine. Nice talk. Gotta get moving. Maybe I'll call you tomorrow. Maybe I'll just call you mañana. What do we have here? A door? Kim, what are you doing on the stairs down there? Follow me up here. Hermetically sealed door, locked by electronic means. There's no lock-picking or door-kicking this one. Kim, are you the voice in my head telling me not to kick the door down? Alright, oh, fine. We'll talk to this guy. We need to get this door open.
Yes?
No, not you, Kim. Not you. I'm trying to talk to the big guy here.
Nobody betrays your degeneracy.
Thank you. I can see my reputation precedes me.
Yeah, Measurehead. His body totally betrays his degeneracy.
No one likes a chorus, Measureheads, babe. Especially one that doesn't have a name. Don't say anything. Size him up first. Absolutely, Authority. Say nothing. Size him up first.
Are you admiring my
No, that's a voice. Whose voice are you talking about here, Diana? Are you talking about Measurehead, or are you talking about Measurehead's babe? Because I actually like Measurehead's voice. I do not like Measurehead's babe's voice. That is like a double possessive there. Very tricky, the English language, huh? Am I admiring your morphophysiology? A ripple of muscle passes underneath his skin. He lets you look. Not really. You look blue and orange and, gray all over. The lady? Oh, I see. Yeah, the lady has an interesting voice here. I don't remember having her... Yeah. I don't remember her having too many voice lines. Although, I've only played this to completion once. And, I admit that I did not go this route the first time. I'm trying new things here. Yeah.
It must be frightening to stand in the shadow of this racial pinnacle.
Pinnacle? Pinnacle?
Sandwich, you are not in danger because you are not a threat to me.
I'd actually like to know, what do you mean my body betrays my degeneracy?
You have succumbed to Al-Ghul.
His face contorts in discomfort. No, in disgust, as if you were smelling a dead rat. I don't know what you're talking about with Al Ghul. I don't know about Al Ghul at all. But I can tell you, it is heinous. Smelling like a dead rat isn't too far off.
You reek of it. An invisible sword of
I took a shower.
emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman in my company sick.
Kim, is it really that bad?
It's not good.
Really? Oh man. I feel like I haven't had a drink of water in days. It's like a rat crawled into your stomach, got drunk, and drowned. You're right. I'm an alcoholic. Now I need to enter the harbor.
No, you don't. You need to get another drink.
That's what I'd like.
Occidental Haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the ham sandwich race is waning.
What? Are we saying turkey sandwiches are better now? You know what? Here's an interesting topic. I've seen turkey try to masquerade as ham, right? Like, have you seen turkey bacon? Turkey bacon's a thing, and it's been a thing for probably a decade now. And I can tell you, turkey bacon is nothing like real bacon. So, turkey ham would be nothing like actual pork ham. So as much as you try to be the new ham sandwich, you'll just be a turkey sandwich. Okay, Measurehead? That's all you're gonna be. A turkey sandwich. Show him the ham still got it. Take a step closer. I am the police, and I need you to comply. Now.
Jerking motions. Signs of a late-stage neurodegenerative disorder.
Hey now, it's early.
The Occidental haplogroup has fallen. You were once a noble and powerful race.
I don't think we were ever a race, man. Turkey sandwiches can be good with decent deli meat. Oh, yeah. You know, I think turkey gets a bad rap. A lot of people get extra dry turkey, or they get like, the pre-sliced turkey that's all dried out. That's not real turkey, you know? That's not really what turkey's supposed to be. Turkey is supposed to be a thick cut of poultry or, you know, something that has some juiciness left in it. A lot of people overcook their turkeys because they cook an entire turkey, like, stuffed with stuffing. I remember when I was growing up, my mother would always stuff the cavity of the bird. It's kind of macabre, isn't it? Like, you would stuff a bird's cavity with these bread cubes and onions and celery. And then you would just defile its corpse by sticking it all in the oven. Yeah. With bread. Yes, and herbs, yes. Very common that the herbs would be things like sage, thyme, parsley, those kind of things. Poultry seasonings, yes. You would defile the turkey's cavity by stuffing it full of these breadcrumbs. And, yeah, of course, if you try to cook that, it's just going to cook very unevenly. Anything at the top near the heat source, or at the bottom near the heat source, whatever your oven works with, would end up drying out way too quickly. Basting isn't going to help with that. So yeah, a lot of people get the wrong impression about turkey. They think it's a very dry meat. It's not. It's just often overcooked. Turkey is fantastic when it's cooked properly. Little extra salt? Absolutely. Good mayo? Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know if I'd go with mayo specifically for a turkey sandwich. If I had a choice, I would probably go with turkey gravy. Oh man, turkey gravy on a sandwich? Ooh, yeah. Like, after Thanksgiving here in America, there would always be leftovers, and that would be the perfect time to make a turkey sandwich with some nice turkey gravy. And that really moistens it back up. Never had gravy on a sandwich before? Oh, wow. Oh. I do recommend it. If you ever had chicken and waffles, it's the same idea, except instead of waffles, you have bread. And instead of chicken, you have turkey. So it's more like turkey and bread. Some people like to put their cranberry sauce leftovers. Should we talk about cranberry sauce? Like, I know a lot of not Americans don't understand what cranberry sauce is. It's not actually a sauce. Cranberry sauce is a jellied substance. It's an abomination, but I love it. It's kind of like the emulsified version of cranberry juice, right? It's a jellied cranberry juice. By which I mean it maintains the shape of a can whenever you slide it out of it. I have made it from scratch before, using actual cranberries and lemon juice, and it's very nice. But I still prefer the stuff out of a can. Which day are you on? I think I'm still on day 1. Let me check. I'm pretty sure I'm still on day 1. Let me just make myself invisible here. Yeah, day 1. We haven't gotten very far. We're probably not going to get very far. But the first time I played this game, I didn't get the body out of the tree for like the first 3 or 4 days. Family small, not the biggest turkey fans? Oh. Corned beef. Corned beef is definitely more of a St. Patrick's Day kind of tradition, don't you think? I've never heard of having corned beef for Thanksgiving. Like, don't get me wrong, corned beef is fantastic. You mix that with a little bit of diced potatoes and some onions, you could make a fantastic hash. Absolutely. I talks a lot. I do talk a lot. But it wasn't even that. Like, just playing around. I did not want. Yeah, don't go to sleep on me. I wanted to see everything there was in the world, right? So this is my second playthrough, and I will see everything that I haven't seen yet. Absolutely. Your mother has a very good corned beef recipe? That's fantastic. Not a lot of people know this, but the word corn in corned beef does not refer to, like, the grain corn. Although it shares a root. Back in the day, what it meant by corn was the size of the particulate matter. That's the best way I can describe it. So a corn would be like a grain. So a cob of corn would actually be like, each individual grain would be a corn. And you could use that for like a corn of barley, or a corn of wheat, or a corn of walnut if you wanted to. And that's where you get the phrase corned beef, because it is turned into a texture and a size similar to a corn. And corn predates, of course, maize, the crop that we're talking about. Yes, we were once a noble, powerful race.
Eugenics,
I did not.
electricity, and powerful weapons of war like missiles and aerostatic aircraft. You made great gains in metallurgy, race theory, and statecraft.
I did absolutely none of these things.
You dominated lesser cultures, like
Maybe.
the deformed Hemians and the inexplicably potato-obsessed Quakers. But now your ascent to the genetic summit has halted. You are obsessed with sadness and with frivolous pop culture.
I feel called out. I'm a huge fan of synth pop, and yeah, I feel very called out by saying that I'm a fan of frivolous pop culture. Like, I don't know. Sometimes you need some meaningless entertainment out there, right? Like, the world is a horrible place, and nothing's going to change that. There are parasites that live exclusively in the human eye, and they will burrow their way out, blinding anyone infected with those parasites. And you can either laugh at that, get drunk at that, or accept that as the truth and say, ah, geez, the world's a horrible place. Maybe I should escape for a few minutes with some Al Ghul. Which is a perfectly valid option. I don't want anyone to say that escapism is bad. Like comfy and cozy game? Yeah, that's great escapism. Unfortunately, I don't think Disco Elysium is a comfy and cozy game. Oh, I'll tell you what. Recently, I bought a new game. Actually, I bought a couple new games. One of them I know for sure I will be able to stream. It is a lot more fun. It is a lot more lighthearted. So maybe we'll do that next week. I don't know if I'm gonna feel up to being a Zatsudan streamer anytime soon. I'm getting there. I'm still alive, okay? I'm still here. I'm doing a lot better than I was 2 weeks ago. I don't know if I'm gonna be a Zatsudan streamer for a bit. But I do have other games that I know I can play, and they're more lighthearted. It definitely is. Oh, you don't think racism is very lighthearted? Really? I couldn't imagine. The end of the world isn't very lighthearted. Yeah, absolutely not. Maybe next week we'll try something new. And we'll play something a lot more lighthearted than this. But this week I didn't have it set up, and it's just what it is, right? So I'm thinking probably it's going to be... I have a couple options. but the most likely one's going to be Shadows over Loathing. If you've ever played West of Loathing, then you're a Zoomer, and that's about all I'm going to say about that. I remember, maybe I should keep the stories for when I actually start that game series, right? Like, I know I'm stopping and starting a lot here, but I have a lot to say about the Of Loathing series and asymmetric publications, or whatever they call themselves. I remember when they were like Crack Rocks and Kingdom of Loathing, and I played a lot of Kingdom of Loathing. I remember my first account was either in 2003 or 2004. So that gives you some idea of how far back we're going, and I have plenty of stories to talk about when it comes to the Kingdom of Loathing, and probably Shadows over Loathing. Yeah. Funny stick game. Yes, it sounds great. I am not obsessed with sadness, though. Believe it or not, I'm an optimist. Although I am obsessed with frivolous pop culture.
You will be superseded. Isn't that right, babe?
Let's hear your brilliant voice.
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
It is, baby, yeah, you know it. There's a button right behind him, just out of reach. Must be the one that opens the door to the harbor. Push him out of the way. Yeah, what could go wrong? He's like 7 feet tall, 400 pounds of muscle. It's fine. Ouch.
That is right. You should leave the stage of history with dignity by inviting the other races to a great world war.
First of all, I feel like I should tell you that I don't think my character has any dignity. I've seen some of the things I've done, and no, we do not have dignity, do we? And second of all, I don't really feel like global wars are very productive, shall we say. The only good thing about a global war is the global redistribution of resources, and it's usually like monopolized by certain small groups of people, so even that's not very productive. I don't see the point of great world wars.
Bring your troops to the Seminine Islands and to Boogie Street, and we will pulverize you.
There's even less
When you
reason
are
to have a
done,
war.
we will build a museum for you.
You know what? Like, if you built a museum for me, I wouldn't even mind dying. I've always wanted to be, like, fossilized. Like, is it strange? What was the eruption? Mount Vesuvius? Is that right? Pompeii? Yeah. It was Pompeii. And, the encasing of those people in ash, just absolutely fantastic. I want that done to me when I die. Hopefully when I die, not when I'm alive like those people, for the most part. I'm sure, given the number of people who were alive in Pompeii at the time, some of them probably were dead before, you know, the ash encased them. Most of them, though, probably alive, dying in agony from volcanic gases entering their lungs.
The walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul,
Sounds great.
your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexuality you call art, and your microcephalic skulls.
Actually, my skull looks pretty big. Right, it was probably a quick death, though? Yeah, here's the thing. Burning hot gases and, not oxygen. Definitely not going to be a slow death. You're going to suffocate. You're actually probably going to asphyxiate first, right? Like, the scalding hot gases and the chemical constituents of the gases, which would probably produce stuff like sulfur or sulfuric acid, probably sulfuric acid, would just essentially mean that you would not get oxygen into your blood, and you'd probably, yeah, have no oxygen getting to your brain. And you'd probably die of that. Didn't say painless. Absolutely not painless. You probably would have ended up drowning and asphyxiating in your own fluids as your lungs filled up, trying to flush the sulfuric acid. Yeah, it would not be a fun death. It would probably be very quick, and eventually it would be painless. It'd be like passing out after a lot of pain. Why am I laughing at that? I have no idea. Anyway, as you can see by my skull here, it's very big. I would not call it microcephalic. This is your chance. He's talking. Rip into him with a punch and catch him off guard. No, don't rip into anyone. You're sensitive, remember? Communicate. I kinda wanna try it, though. We don't have the physical instrument. 17% white check, we can retry it. You know what? You know what, Measurehead? You've got me thinking. Maybe there's something more to this advanced race theory of yours. Tell me about the ham sandwiches. Success. Ask what kind of races are there first. Classification is core to this stuff. That's right, you've got to standardize things, you got to operationalize your terms. That's the heart of any good science. Measurehead, I am new to this world. Help me understand its races. I need to know what kind of different races are there. Do you? The lieutenant looks at you. This is for the thing, Kim. This is for the thing. The lieutenant looks toward the harbor's electronic door and then to you. He lets out an audible sigh. Fine, do it. You are obviously a liberal Zeolite, the man tells him. Polyculturalist, I can see it from your love of microtechnology and your sartorial choices. Do not deny your friend the truth you have denied yourself. There are 3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. And the vile C to F race cauldron of pederasty. Wow, that escalated quickly. Which one do you need education on? Give me the heroic races. Those are the Seminese, the Areopagite, and the Occidentals, excluding the Maun, of course. The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find it impossible to smile. They are all lactose intolerant, a common result of inbreeding. Fun fact, lactose tolerance is in fact a product of inbreeding itself. Populations which maintain lactose tolerance into adulthood would have been more likely geographically bottlenecked. That's how evolution works. It would be a recessive trait of sorts, and it would occur throughout a population which had more inbreeding as opposed to less. So this is like the opposite of science. Yeah. A receding genetic pool has led the Maun on reprehensible street parades in Maun cities like Stadskanal and Vredefort, wearing wooden clogs on their feet and little green tassels on their hats. Who exactly are the Maun? You'll know them by the names of their nation-states. Aranhese? Yeah, Aranhese. Let's go with that. The Gatwaldians and the Konigsteiners. My people simply call them Maun. The Maun are proof that you can have too much Occidental racial purity and tassel-centric culture. Yeah, you can have too many tassels in a culture, that's for sure. Inbreeding has led to a lactose-intolerant subrace whom no one can take seriously. Okay, got it. Who are Type A then, in your view? The Vespertines and Messinians of Vesper and Messinia. The ancient Meteoroians of Meteo by the Golden Pisantic Sea. The Sresne of Sura Clef, and even the North Konigsteiners. All Type A race propensities. The other large Mondile civilization, the Mesk, are too yellow and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist, but they have a glandular problem. He draws his finger across his face. Oh, I see. They have glandular problems. That's not great. Overproduction of sebum. Sebum is leaking into their brains. I don't think that's how it works, Measurehead. do you have like a degree in this? Did you study at a college somewhere? A strange mutation? Zoned out a long time. Isn't that how it usually goes? Okay. Can I be real for a second here? Maybe I shouldn't be real for a second here. But I've had enough Al Ghul to be real for a second here. And it burns. It burns my throat. And I've had even more. Coffee wine, by the way. Anyway, let's be real here for a second. We've all met someone who is actually legitimately racist. I guarantee it. Me especially. I grew up in rural America, right? And not just any rural America, like the most rural and isolated of rural America, right? So I've known a lot of people who talk like this. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think most people have met at least one person who is an unironic and legitimate racist like this. And at some point, you may just have to nod your head while you're listening to them, right? Like, it is a social politeness to just not cause any trouble. I know, it's not ideal. Like, we should probably be calling out these people if they're, like, unironic racists. But sometimes you just can't because they're like a great uncle. Or they're an elderly person and they lived through something, and I don't know. There are 100 different reasons, right? Like they're a war veteran or something. And society would condemn you for it. They lived in a different era, in a different time. And it's not entirely their fault that they have these strange beliefs in their heads. It's just the paradigm they lived with. And as long as they're not causing trouble to anyone except for themselves, it's kind of just like, okay, I'll just nod my head and get this over with, right? You just zone out whenever they start talking about this kind of stuff. And yeah, that's exactly what I would do too. I don't know. Once someone starts talking about someone being a bit too greasy, like, I don't know. I'd probably zone out too. Not just because I'm Italian American. And maybe I'm a little bit greasy too. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Some people are more greasy than others. And here's the fun fact about being greasy, right? The more you wash yourself, the greasier you actually are. The body needs some grease on itself, right? Yeah, the body needs some grease on itself to maintain moisture in the skin and hair. So the more you use soap, the more likely your body is to produce even more grease and sebum, as it's called. So it's not even being like unclean. It would be a problem here. In fact, it's more a problem of the aristocrats producing too much grease. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is a form of protection in a way, right? Like, there is a part of you that needs to listen to elders, or probably should listen to elders, in the case that they have something to say that's actually worthwhile. Or at least you can learn from them, right? Like, even if they don't have the best ideas, or they might not be, I don't know, the kindest of people, you can still learn from whatever their experiences were, and then you can incorporate that into your own worldview. I'm not saying become a racist like Measurehead wants you to be. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying you can understand where they're coming from and perhaps understand them a bit better, and perhaps give them a bit of kindness, even though they might not necessarily offer that kindness to everyone as they should in the first place. I don't know. Yeah. Zoning out's probably your best option. And who are the Seminese and Areopagites in this?
As proven by the Maon and the Misk, Occidental Type A is in retrograde. The Seminese and the Areopagite are on the ascent.
And the Seminese are?
The indigenous people of this, the Insulindian archipelago. The Seminese inhabit the southern islands.
He gestures towards the south. Across the ocean.
I am Seminese, from the stock of Ulanbiger on Ile du Fantôme.
The Phantom Island. Okay. And the Areopagites?
The Areopagites are the master race of the Ilamaran deserts. The Seminese are descendants of the Areopagites. We came here during a heroic migration from Ilmara to Insulinda, thousands of years before the lactose-intolerant, Maon-ridden Occidentals discovered this place.
So you believe you're Egyptian. I think that's what they're going for here. The ancestors and descendants of the Egyptians. What's the difference between the Seminese and the Areopagites?
The Areopagites are sleek, long-headed. The Seminese are powerful, mesomorphic. The former is an immutable progenitor, unchanged since the Superisola of Pericanasis. Ancient brains rest in their slender skulls.
He falls silent, contemplating the beauty and the mystery. So, not only do we have eugenics, we have phrenology. I shouldn't have expected anything less. Phrenology is the antiquated study of skull shapes. For those of you not in the know. The interesting fact there is that the ancient Egyptians used to elongate their skulls by putting bands on them or other kind of presses to shape them while they were still soft. I think that's where the slender thing is coming from. The slender, sleek, long-headed look. Yeah, I think that's what that is. It has absolutely nothing to do with genetics and everything to do with, you know, post-birth manipulations by human hands.
The latter is perfected and adapting. Together they form the Semino Areopagite, Areopagite or Semiopagite superrace. That is all. There are no more Type A races in the world.
Nature was not capable of more. Thank you, Inland Empire. Very helpful. Tell me about the Type B.
Type B are the unheroic races, amorphous non-competitors of the great race, the Quakos and the Vocaliers. They are mud-colored people.
Mud-colored? Like, I've seen a lot of different kinds of muds. Fun fact, I'm going to tangent again. I used to study different kinds of muds. Soil science is a thing, right? And I had an elective in college. It was entirely dedicated to the different kinds of soils in the world. One of the factors was the color of the soil, right? Because color can tell you a lot about a soil. How much organic material's in it, how much iron's in it, whether the iron is oxidized iron or it's an anaerobic environment and it's unoxidized iron. Those are all key factors in understanding the quality or the nature of the soil in question. And there isn't just one type of soil out there. I'm pretty sure there were like 43 different classifications of soils. I want you to think about that. 43 different kinds of mud out there. So tell me about this mud-colored races. Like the redder soils of some of the western US states, pretty? Yeah. Ooh. Either some of the reddest soils I've seen are in the American South. Places with a lot of iron in their soil, very oxidized iron. A lot of clay in their soil too. Clay has a lot of organics in it, and oxidized organics tend to be reddish. I've seen them green, I've seen them yellow, I've seen a lot of colors, but they tend to be reddish. Just in general, Yeah. Depending on how far west you're talking, like, I could talk about a lot of different formations. I could talk about a lot of different geological formations and a lot of different bedrocks and a lot of different soils. But generally, if you see a red soil, it's usually clay-rich, it's usually iron-rich. And they're very pretty. You're absolutely right. I don't like the kind of beige soil that's around where I live. The beige soil around here is very high in clay, but very low in iron. It's a very specific type of clay. Oh. We'll have a geology tangent here. Clays belong to a group of minerals known as the phyllosilicates. The phyllosilicates are sheet silicates. That's what phyllo means, sheets, like phyllo dough. And their chemical structure is stacked upon stacked, basically like sheets. And they're in a hexagonal closed pattern. Eating dirt trend on TikTok? Here's the thing. The first time I ever heard of anyone eating dirt was for pica. Pica, the medical condition pica, where people have unusual eating habits. Perhaps because of mineral deficiencies or whatever else. I don't think that's what the TikTok trend is, for some reason, yes. I don't know anything about TikTok. I'm an old man. I don't have a TikTok, I don't use TikTok. I do know that there are very unfortunate people out there in the world, not just people with pica, but people who don't have access to food, who do eat clay and other types of soil as a part of their diet, as a sort of substitute for caloric intake. It's kind of sad. This ain't pica. Just people eating dirt. If it's just people eating dirt, then I can completely understand. I've wanted to take a bite out of clay sometimes, right? Like, can you imagine the texture of clay? Oh, man. If you've ever done ceramics, if you've done ceramic sculpture, if you've done ceramic throwing on a wheel, doesn't it feel so smooth? Doesn't it just make you want to take a bite out of it? Like, feel it against your teeth? The texture of these things, I have to wonder about them, you know? Like, I really want to just take a bite out of clay sometimes and just chew on it like it's chewing gum. Is that what we're talking about? Like, I feel it'd be fantastic. Just feeling this grittiness against your teeth. No, I don't like mud and clay. No. There's no such thing as too much. It's a perfectly valid test, okay? When I was first taking my intro to geology courses, one of the first things we talked about was how to differentiate shale from siltstone. And the difference between shale and siltstone is if you put shale against your teeth, it would feel smooth. And if you put siltstone against your teeth, it would feel like it was very little gritty, you know? So, using your mouth is actually a valid geological assessment tool, you know? It's not that I like clay and mud and dirt too much. Maybe I do. But there are valid reasons to stick dirt and rocks into your mouth, okay? Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, I feel like I have to defend myself one more time before we get back into the story here. Yes, I have licked rocks before. Mostly evaporites. There are two different very, very similar evaporites, both in the salt group. The one is sodium chloride. I can't think of the name. Natrolite, I think, maybe? Maybe that's it. Anyway, it's sodium chloride, table salt, and the other is sylvite, which is calcium chloride. Not calcium, potassium chloride. And the only way to tell them different, or tell them apart, is to lick them, because Sylvite tastes like vomit. You know that very mineralic taste in your mouth when it gets very, like, it starts salivating and you know you're about to vomit? And there's that very bitter mineralic taste. I see. Yeah, I hope so. That very mineralic taste, as far as I'm aware, is actually potassium ions, and it's signaling that you're going to vomit. That's exactly what Sylvite tastes like, whereas the other one, sodium chloride, tastes like table salt. Favorite rock I've ever licked. I kind of like gypsum. I know it's a strange one, but gypsum has a wonderful texture and not very much flavor at all. So yeah, I'm gonna go with gypsum. Huh? What? Do you think gypsum has a bad flavor? Are you out there licking drywall? Here's a fun fact. Drywall doesn't always use gypsum. Sometimes it uses anhydrite. And anhydrite is related to gypsum, except it has molecular water in its chemical structure. More of a texture guy? Yeah, it's true. Interesting. I don't know if it's interesting. Here's the thing, I've always been more of a textural guy when it comes to food, because I don't have much of a taste. I can't taste things. Never really have been able to taste things. My taste buds are all out of sorts for a variety of reasons. What are we talking about? Right.
To an untrained eye, the Quaiko appear white and pinkish like a ham sandwich, but look into their eyes and you will see, he squints full of sage wisdom, they are of an indistinct, muddy color, and so is their skin, unhealthy, sweaty, and ashen.
Oh, is that why you thought coffee wine is a good idea? You know, fun fact about coffee wine, I didn't invent this stuff. It's a horrible idea, but I did not invent it. Coffee wine has interesting origins, right? The first time I saw coffee wine, it was in a home brewing forum, probably in 2018, maybe 2019. But it definitely originated before that, because the older sources I found for coffee wine were fermenting coffee grounds for biofuels. So instead of composting coffee grounds, there was a proposition in a scientific article to ferment coffee grounds into something like ethanol. And as you probably know, ethanol is typically blended, here in the USA especially, into gasoline to make it cleaner burning. Whether or not it's cleaner burning is, well, you know, it's what it is. I will not debate the science on that. That's outside of my pay grade. I can tell you though, it wasn't for human consumption, the original studies I found. Back then, I think they were proposing it for fuel grade stuff, and it was mostly based in the Philippines and Ethiopia. I don't know. You find strange uses of things, right? People throw away how many tons of coffee grounds per year? Coffee is this limited resource that grows in this very limited geographic range, right? It is like this luxury product. And what do we do with it? We grind up the beans after we dry them and roast them, and we get one proper steep out of them, and then we just throw them out. Some people like to compost them, but that's about it. They end up in your garden. And here's a fun fact. Do not do that. Do not just put them directly into your garden. That will make the bioavailable nutrients in your soils absolutely deplete much more quickly. Fermentation organisms, fungi, things like that, decomposers in general, they need oxygen as well to grow and reproduce. Most of them do. Even yeast have aerobic life cycle reproduction. So you have to be careful with that. Do not put coffee grounds directly into your soil. Put them into a compost pile and let them go for a year or two. Then use that compost in your soil. You'll be much better with your gardens. Drink them to become alive each day? You drink coffee grounds? I've had some pretty bad coffee where there's like nothing but an inch of coffee grounds at the bottom. Like I have a French press, so I'm not unfamiliar with the concept of drinking coffee grounds. I have to assume that you mean you drink like the steeped coffee grounds. You drink the coffee, right? Yeah. Being alive is great. Yes, I do know. I do know. You're absolutely right. It's called teasing, Diana. Teasing happens here on this channel.
Bigness is a racial quality that has to be earned through centuries of advanced ballistic warfare and cultural domination that the Grad people have undergone for drinking Al Ghul and smoking the degenerate tobacco herb, and for eating potato.
I don't know about potato. Like, potato is a nightshade family crop, right? So maybe it's poisonous and that's bad for people. But I think that might be a slightly different thing than tobacco or alcohol.
The Koiko, the countless micro-nationalities of Grad, are all inexplicably obsessed with the potato. The only thing they like more is dividing into microscopic ethnostates, like political amoeba.
And the Vocaliers you mentioned?
Revacholians, halfway between Taipei and the racial cauldron, too mixed to know right from wrong. You tried your degenerate little revolution, which was the single greatest failure committed by humans in our 82,000-year history of this planet.
I believe it's 6,000, thank you. Potatoes are amazing. Eating potato makes me a worse person. Yeah. One of the best vegetables. Ooh. Vegetables. Is the potato a vegetable? I guess so. It's like comprised primarily of starch, right? Starch being a carbohydrate, I would put it closer to a grain than a vegetable. But, maybe I'm the weird one there. I'm not a food scientist. Oh god, what? Did I say something strange? You started another tangent? You absolutely did. Yes. It's very easy to start me tangenting, especially with the influence of Al Ghul in my system. But you're absolutely right. Potatoes are high in nutrients, and they're high in calories because they're pretty much mostly starch. And starch being a carbohydrate, a complex carbohydrate, so long as you can digest it, so long as it's cooked properly, it's very energy dense. Very easy. It's true. What do you expect? I know I've been gone for a couple weeks, but this is no different from usual, is it? Like, we've done like 10 minutes of gameplay here, and about an hour of, tangenting about who knows what. Gypsum's flavor, and potatoes. Yeah, why not? But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Potatoes are fantastic. I would probably rather have sweet potatoes, personally. Sweet potatoes, despite their name, are not actually related to potatoes. Actual potatoes are a member of the nightshade family, whereas, sweet potatoes, if I remember correctly, are a member of the morning glory family, right? You might know morning glories from their flowers. They're very pretty, right? The morning glory plant. And sweet potatoes do have very pretty vines. A lot of people grow them for their decorative vines. But I like to eat them. I don't know. I prefer them over potatoes in just about everything, except when you're having a savory dish, right? Like, the best way to eat a sweet potato, in my opinion, is to steam it in a bamboo basket. That way you get the wonderful bamboo scent, and you get the very sweet but mild sweetness of a sweet potato. Love all potato? And you love morning glory. It's your favorite flower. That's a remarkable coincidence. That's a very remarkable coincidence, because that's what a sweet potato is. My favorite flower is probably the tiger lily. When I was young, we're having another tangent. Why not? Maybe I should have just done a Zatsudan stream anyway. We're not getting anywhere through this game. Yeah, my favorite flower was the tiger lily. When I was a kid, we had a couple bushes of tiger lilies. They would just grow out front every summer, and they were very beautiful, right? Like, I don't remember too many orange flowers where I grew up, and they had these wonderful stripes, and they were annuals, so they would keep growing every year. They would grow once per year. That's what an annual is. And I don't know, there was just something pretty about them, the way they stood up on these tall stalks with these long, thin leaves, right? They were just very pretty and very vibrant, and every summer they would be dotted along the roadsides, including in front of my own house, and I really enjoyed them. They had this very unique scent too, ever so slightly sweet, ever so I can talk, I can speak, ever so slightly earthy, in a way, right? Yeah. They're not like daylilies, right? Like, you can eat daylilies. I don't know if you can eat tiger lilies. Every part of the daylily is technically edible. I don't know how many you can eat of stalks, but I know you can eat a couple flowers, and I know you can eat the tubers or the bulbs. And the leaves, I guess you could eat. I've just never heard of anyone ever eating them. I know the flowers are delicious. The buds of a daylily are delicious. I've never actually had the bulbs of a daylily, but I do know they're edible. Seen one in person before? Oh, wow. Tiger lilies are basically like daylilies, but they have more pattern to them. Like, imagine the cross between a daylily and a giraffe, and you'll get a tiger lily. They really ought to be giraffe lilies. If I had my way, that's what I'd call them. Tell me about the vile C to F race cauldron of pederasty, please. Please don't actually tell me about pederasty, though.
Type C to F are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Your morbid interest in them worries me.
Yes. Tell me about the chimeric experiments.
Lesser races like the mosquito, a grotesque mixture of a Mesk woman and a Seminese man, only possible if the mother is Mesk and the father Seminese. The other way around, they fail to produce offspring.
It's actually interesting. We'll talk about that in a second. It's an image. Eugenics are hitting the whole bingo board tonight. Yes, we are. It's technically not genetics here, though. It's hybridization. Oh. Hyde is just not sober enough to actually be talking about this kind of topic. So we will in a second. Yes. Giraffe lilies, I wish they existed. Tiger lilies are the closest to them. I don't really see tiger lilies as tiger patterned. I do see them as more giraffe patterned. They're very pretty though, and they have a nice scent, and they remind me of my youth, which sometimes is nice. Not just because of nostalgia, but because of, you know, things were better. Not just nostalgically. My body didn't hurt so much. Let's talk about the hybridization thing. So there are things like the offspring between horses and mules, right? And what were they? I can't remember. But there are offspring between horses and donkeys, and you get mules and jennies, I think they are. And it depends on whether the father was a horse or a mule or a donkey or whatever it was. They're infertile, but they are different depending on what the mother or the father was. Usually when it comes to infertility, it relies on the number of chromosomes, right? So horses have a different number of chromosomes from donkeys. The fact that they can create offspring at all is remarkable. They create an offspring with an in-between number of chromosomes, and the only problem is that the offspring itself is typically infertile. It cannot reproduce itself. That's why it's not its own unique species. I don't think that's what we're talking about here with Measurehead, because Measurehead's talking about seemingly individuals that can reproduce and are fertile. If the mosquito race here, as he calls it, could not reproduce with other, I guess, human races in this universe, then technically it would be a different species. It would be a subspecies, or it would be a hybrid. I love the topic of evolution, and the only reason I don't talk more about it is because of the hot water you can get into talking about the topic of evolution. But the whole reason that I got into invertebrate paleontology in the first place was because I was fascinated by the evolution of a certain clade of invertebrates, right? I don't like how eugenicists have co-opted evolution, or have had co-opted, co-adopted, co-opted. Yeah, it's co-opted. Co-opted evolution. But I will say this, I don't think that's necessarily really a bad point to evolution, and I think we should really study the evolution of hybridization, especially. It's very understudied, right? Especially in invertebrates. I might be a bit biased, but I'm very partial to invertebrate evolution, and hybridization especially. Co-opted, yes, thank you. Thank you, my brain is not working very well tonight, obviously. But, yeah. I am very fascinated by the idea that invertebrates, with their typically more primitive chromosomal counts, could more easily hybridize with other parts of their clades, right? I once talked to a professor. Oh, should I talk about this? Probably not, but maybe I will. I once talked to a professor who did a lot of research into the hybridization of echinoderms. And you might know echinoderms as things like starfish, sand dollars, and sea urchins. As well as crinoids and blastoids. You probably don't know what a blastoid is. Most people don't know what a blastoid is, and I don't blame them. I wish I didn't know what a blastoid was either, but I do. And I really gotta say, the work he was talking about was just eye-opening. Especially in regards to the fossil record, because when you examine things in the fossil record's, like, first of all, incomplete. It is very, 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 very incomplete. Not everything is preserved in the fossil record, and what is preserved isn't necessarily the entire story. It is a story of different populations in different geographic like locations, and you try to piece them together to form a whole story. But it's not a direct line, it's different branches at like different progressions chronologically. So it's not like a direct progression of species from species to other species. No, it's different branches, different populations, different geographic isolations. So it's very hard there. But you also have the idea of hybridization and migratory populations. It's just fantastic stuff. I wish I could talk about it all day. Do not, but maybe they're cute. Oh, Blastoids. Blastoids are not cute, no. I will tell you though, like most echinoderms, they have pentameral symmetry. And pentameral symmetry means that they have 5 points of symmetry like a star. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of cute. Except, it's not. I remember one of my favorite parts of H.P. Lovecraft was how he wrote about barrel-shaped organisms, the elder things, having these kind of pentameral symmetries. The neat thing about pentameral symmetry is that it's probably the closest related to bilateral symmetry that humans have. Like starfish, exactly. Yeah. So, if you imagine a starfish, it has a point and then another point so many degrees away. Like, consider a starfish as a circle. Each point of a starfish's tip on the circle. And each point away from each other is another degree, amount of degrees. I can't remember the exact number of degrees, like it's probably 360 divided by 5, but maybe it's different. I don't know. I can't remember. So let's just go with 360 divided by 5. I can't do the math. 350 would be 75? No, that's not right. Roughly that. So every like 70 degrees or so, you get another point. It's very interesting, right? Yes, star. I really like that about H.P. Lovecraft, right? Because pentameral symmetry seems to be the closest related to bilateral symmetry, which is the kind of symmetry we see in modern tetrapods, including humans. Tetrapods being four-limbed creatures. So not insects, but anything with a spine would be a tetrapod for the most part. Bears, dogs, dolphins, whales, fish. Believe it or not, humans belong to the same clade of organisms as fish. A specific type of fish, the lobe-finned fish specifically, we're definitely the fish clade. Which makes you wonder, right? The Catholic Church has famously said that you should give up any kind of red meat for Lent, right? Well, you don't have... that's not exactly right, is it? No. How much do I want to get into that? Probably not much at all. But, if you give up red meat for Lent, and you accept that you can have fish for Lent, it's really no different. Because fish are still tetrapods, they're just aqueous tetrapods. Right.
The mosquito is born sterile, like a donkey.
See? See, he knows what he's talking about. This is hybridization here. He looks west ruefully.
All they have left is to ride customized motor carriages with hydraulic suspension, listening to aggressive El Mariachi music to vent their impotent despair.
Any more?
Then there is, he pauses dramatically, Seminokojic Chimera. Are you sure you wish to know of the Seminokojic?
I can't remember how he said it. Koikik? Chimera?
Is it not an aesthetic? It is not an aesthetic site.
Yes, tell me about it.
The Quaiko, as you know, are very servile, especially when they meet the rich man.
Rich man being a race, of course.
Racial scientists have toyed with the idea of crossing the Seminese with the Quaiko to produce a super worker of Seminese strength and broad civility.
Not many people with but yeah, evolution and scientific animal info. I really do have to stress the point that one of the biggest draws for me when I was studying invertebrate paleontology was evolutionary science. I studied trilobites, okay? They're unique. I'm not unique. I'm not. I'm really not. I think Niles Eldritch would have been very similar. Because we have very similar ideas. There are other professors I could talk about. Other people who are still alive. Lesser known. And people who are dead as well, unfortunately. That I could talk about. And I would probably reveal more than I wanted to. But I studied trilobite eyes, specifically. And I was very concerned about the way trilobite eyes could indicate the evolution not just of the trilobites, but of the environments the trilobites lived in. Come on, man. Relative to the human population. Okay, sure. I think everybody likes trilobites. Trilobites are very cute, you know? They're very anatomically and morphologically advanced for the time period in which they existed. And they existed for a very long time. Hundreds of millions of years, if I remember correctly. So it's not like they existed longer for all of the dinosaurs existed. And dinosaurs being a very broad group, a very broad clade of organisms. Like, yeah, trilobites existed longer than that. And they're much more basal, older. I will say, however, I was very fascinated by their eyes, the evolution of their eyes, and what it meant about the environments in which they lived. I will tell you, when I was an undergraduate in college, I was specifically concerned about how deep do I want to get into this? Let's just go as deep as I want, okay? Yeah, sure, why not? So, in Phacopan trilobites, I think it was Eldridge himself, the guy who proposed with Stephen Gould the idea of punctuated equilibrium. That there were these dorsoventral files. Dorsoventral meaning from top of the body to the belly of the body. In the eyes of Phacopan trilobites, they have these things called schizochral eyes. Schizochral meaning basically that they're separated by sclera. So they're compound eyes, hexagonally close packed. So each lens in a hexagonal pattern. And each... Well, there are these lines from top to bottom of these different lenses, right? And they're alternating. So basically those are those alternating lines from top to bottom would be dorsoventral files. There was Eldridge who proposed that there was a sort of loss of dorsoventral files and lenses in dorsoventral files as time went by in the Phacopan trilobites, and he proposed that this was because of evolutionary changes in the environment. So that's not exactly right. Evolutionary changes in response to environmental changes, right? So the environment itself, the water, the seas, that these trilobites lived in started getting muddier and more sediment rich as rivers started emptying more sediment into them and deltas started filling up. So they started not producing as many dorsoventral files. They started not producing as many lenses in these dorsoventral vials. Because if you think about it, it takes energy to precipitate calcite. It takes energy to make any part of the body, really. And this water was so murky that it just didn't make sense anymore to make these extra lenses in their eyes, because they couldn't see a darn thing in the murkiness of this water. So yeah, creatures that had fewer eyes were preserving energy, or had fewer lenses or dorsoventral files, had fewer energy expenses, as it were. Adaptation to the environment. Exactly correct. Evolution is determined by the environment, not by the individual. That's the tenet of modern evolutionary theorem. Guess we don't need Isaac. That's exactly right, actually. I wish that were a joke, but it's not. It's very hard to say whether or not certain species of trilobites ended up evolving fewer lenses or eyes, or whether different populations with fewer lenses or dorsoventral files in their eyes ended up outcompeting the other populations as the water became murkier and murkier. That was one of the things I was trying to study when I was an undergraduate, right? That was just a personal hobby. I didn't write a paper or anything about it, so I can talk about that. That's no problem. That didn't have anything to do with my academics at all, in fact. That was just a personal hobby. But yeah, it was very hard to tell. And I don't think there was any clear answer, one way or the other, whether these native populations with the greater number of eye lenses and dorsoventral files actually moved away, or if they were outcompeted or replaced or evolved, as the case may be, to expend less energy on eye production. I think Niles Eldridge might have been a bit too quick on his theory of punctuated equilibrium, saying that well, you know what, I won't get into that, but I will say you're absolutely correct. If you can get away with it in nature, if you don't need to grow an arm, for example, then not growing an arm will absolutely help you reproduce. It'll help you be more fit in the environment. And that's exactly what was happening as the water became murkier and murkier in the types of environments I was studying at the time. Why am I talking about this? Because there are some trilobites that lost their eyes almost completely. Oh, should I talk about this? Should I talk about this? I don't know. I will say I really shouldn't. I really shouldn't. I'm sorry. I can't talk about that. I'm not going to. I never published anything that I discovered or found. So it's not peer-reviewed. I can't tell you with any certainty that it's right or not. But I will say that I do question the Niles Eldridge accounts. Certain parts of the propositions of punctuated equilibrium. Not the idea itself, just the basis that was founded upon involving Phacopic trilobites. Don't do things you'll regret. It's fine. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm not intending to do things that I'll regret. Eventually, maybe I'll talk about these things in more detail. I don't know why we're talking about it at all right now. I thought we were talking about donkeys, and we were playing a game, ostensibly, correct? Yeah.
This will never happen. The Seminoles and the Quaiko may have similar interbreeding problems as the mosquito. We'll never know precisely. No Seminoles man could maintain an erection. What? No Seminoles man could maintain an erection in the suffocating potato stench of a Quaiko woman, or Kochka.
Or is it Koika?
But enough. It is cruel to entertain ourselves with the deformities of type C to F. Were there any able-bodied races you needed education on?
And now that I've been through all the types, do I understand advanced race theory?
You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it.
I see. Played a game for about 11 minutes. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. You know, you're not wrong. I spent all this time making this model for this game. I feel like I kind of have to play it. But, you're not wrong. I played about maybe 10 minutes of the game and just talked the rest of the time. You're absolutely right. Old man gets distracted easily, especially talking about things which are over 300 million years old. According to radiometric dating, about 400 million years old. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Old man gets distracted easily about even older topics. I do like old things. You know, it's just a sad thing about it. Like, I don't really feel attached or even part of the modern era. The older I get, the more I realize that I have just anchored myself to my own origin points, you know? Like, I don't get the modern world, and I don't think I ever will. I'm just part of this nostalgic faction of, I guess, Neo-Luddites. And I'll never understand the modern world. I'll never be a part of it. You can understand that? I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I won't say what you understand. But I'm very happy that you can understand a part of that. How do I word the mystery exactly, Measurehead?
You need to internalize what you have heard here today, then return to me. This clarity does not come instantly.
That's fantastic. Let's talk about something else.
I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss. Type B Revacholian, your love for disco music and venereal disease?
I do not like venereal disease. I do like disco music, so that's fair. I'm gonna try to knock you out, okay, Measurehead? We fail miserably. How did this happen? Your little fist is in this giant hand and he's squeezing it. It hurts. I guess I threw a punch at him.
You must be out of your mind, degenerate drunk.
The pressure in your hand becomes unbearable.
Say it. I am a degenerate alcoholic.
Fuck you. Your fist cracks in his hand like a ripe apple. Pain shoots up into your brain as he's twisting it more and more.
The words to the song have changed. Say I'm a violent drunk.
No. I won't fucking say anything. Your hand twists in his grip, and the pain blinds you. Still, you press the words out of your swollen mouth. Good. He releases your hand. Now leave, before you humiliate your homoerotic organization any further. Oh, it's locked out? That's not great. Fine, we'll leave. I can understand that. Look at the dude. Yeah, he is pretty big. My hand would crack like an apple. I'm not a very big man. I'll admit that. I'm not like 7 foot tall or 300 pounds of pure muscle. I am smaller than that. Sure, Kim was thrilled with the outcome. You know what? The thing about that is Kim probably doesn't care. Kim is here and he's just like watching us do this. How do I get off these stairs? Do I go around this way? Yes, okay. Yeah, Kim didn't have a problem with us getting our hand crushed by Measurehead. It says G-R-I-H. I don't know what that means. Yeah, Kim probably didn't care. What do we have here? This is another lorry. Grodd Factory of Magnets and Miracles. Magnets? How do they work? U49. A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big heavy Grodd-made machine is well kept for such an old machine. Look in the window. The windows are clear, they've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings, stickers, insignia. What kind of stickers? Driver is adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. Proclamations about honor, strength, and purity are glued to... This is the racist rig. Okay, I get it. I don't remember if anyone else remembers. Let me rephrase that. I don't know if anyone else remembers, but there is a racist lorryman over to our left. And he's over by the magazine rack. Yeah, this is probably his rig. What kind of stickers and insignia? The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. Wait, didn't we already read that? What about the back seat? Back end of the cabin has a small perch to sleep, large ashtrays. There are several suns and wheels sewn into the curtains. Vaguely remember. It was a long time ago. In between many... It wasn't that long ago. It was only a couple weeks. You know, I realized that I only stream like once a week. And that's when I'm actually streaming. And it's been a couple of weeks since I streamed. I realized that. I do apologize for not being here for my weekly streams and for not even uploading my content. I do have more content to upload. I have more backlog content. It was I didn't, like, to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't feel up to the task of editing things or even recording new things. I haven't recorded for, like, the last video I put out, right? That was the first time I recorded in weeks. Probably a month. And I have a couple more videos from that recording session. So there will be gameplay videos for next week. I do apologize for not sticking to my usual schedule, not putting out a video per day. I just needed some time, you know? Long time ago? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your understanding. I'm happy to be here too. And I am slowly getting better. Isn't it funny? Can I just stop for a second and tangent? As a content creator, I feel like I let people down when I don't put out my content on my usual schedule. So I can understand if people are upset or disappointed. But at the same time, there have been a lot of things just happening in rapid succession. And I've had to step away from the editing and the recording and even the streaming for a bit and just get my head screwed on straight. I don't want to focus on that. I really don't. It's not that big of a deal, and I'm fine, and I will be fine. But it is something that I feel like people don't really understand in this space. We're all human, even if we're anime portrayals, anime figures on a screen. We're all human, and we all have things we need to do as individuals and content creators and people. So I'm very happy if it's understandable that I need to take time or space for a little bit. Like, even tomorrow I have a dentist appointment. So we're probably not gonna go for too much longer here tonight. I'm happy you... I'm happy you think so. I really am. I don't think it's a gift. Like, the way I see it, we're mutually exchanging time together, you know? So this isn't really a gift situation. I'm here spending time with you, and you're here spending time with me. And as much as this isn't a comfy, cozy kind of game, I do enjoy spending time playing it. And I hope you enjoy spending time watching it, and perhaps even enjoying the tangents. Because apparently the tangents are the main part of tonight's segment. Oh, okay. Yeah. It is very much like hanging out. I'll be honest with you. Streaming to me is a lot more stressful than making videos, right? Like, when I stream, I only get one take to do it right. I have to constantly be talking. I have to constantly be concerned about being entertaining. That's nothing against any audience members who may be watching, or any VOD watchers, as the case may be. I enjoy your company, and it's just... I only get one take at it, you know? And being me, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So it is a lot more stressful than just making a video. I understand wholeheartedly the kind of value that interacting live can be, right? Because it is like hanging out, right? You and I are together having a conversation live. You can't do that in a video. I can't do that in a video. Maybe somebody can. But yeah, I get that there is a different kind of value in the streaming versus the video creation process. I absolutely understand. So, yeah. I'm happy if you see the videos and the streams as these sort of bonuses. I don't really see them as that. I think they really are part of the whole process, because I like spending time with you as well, you know? It's not that strange, is it? Why am I talking to you? You think this lorry belongs to our tough guy? Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is, drapes it all over his machine. He's acting tough before. This definitely scared him a little. You being here. Leave. So this is definitely our racist lorry driver's cab. That's fine, right? Yeah, this guy right here. You there. Let's have another talk with you. Maybe you have something to say to us.
Looking for something, Hunt? Come to tell me to fuck off again?
Yeah, actually, I want you to tell me what you know. Men like this only respect two things, strength and fear. You're gonna have plenty of that. Time to turn up the volume. Show me her lorry right fucking now. Lady driver's lorry. Where is it?
Fuck you, I told you I'm not gonna...
There, his voice grows smaller. As yours, I'm gonna fuck you for the rest of my life. You understand? Fucking homo cop. Globule sweat gathers at his brow.
Look, fuck you, man.
He tries to wave you off.
Some lorry down there, green banged up thing. I don't fucking know who she is.
When did she go away? Why am I talking to you? I didn't mean you, Diana. I meant this guy, the racist lorry driver. I am talking to you because... Okay. I am not sober, and I am just not sober enough to probably admit this. Makes more sense. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't make the most sense even in the best of times. I recognize the importance of hanging out live in a live stream. That's why I do this. That's why I try to do this every week, you know? I could just be a YouTuber and I could just make videos and I wouldn't have to worry about my first takes not being the best takes. I wouldn't have to worry about misspeaking like I just did. I wouldn't have to worry about a lot of things. But I realize the value of me being here live. Us enjoying our time together. Us hanging out. Us sharing time together, you know? I recognize that there is a different kind of value in that. And I realize the importance of it. Which is why I try my best. I really do. Despite not being a very sociable creature. I try my best to be here at least once a week, live and in person. When I misspeak, there's a cute laugh. I'm happy if you think it's cute. I don't know what to say to that. I don't particularly think it's cute, but I'm happy if you do. Yeah. Anyway, the point of the matter is, I recognize the importance of being here and hanging out. If you want to talk with me, this is the one time per week that it's possible to do it live. And I don't really want to take that away from you or anyone else. I think this is a very valuable time for me to interact with anyone who wants to interact with me. So I understand, you know? Even if I only have one take to not misspeak, I have to do it all perfectly, the first take, you know? Yeah. But I'm happy if the quote-unquote cute laugh makes up for it.
I don't know. I don't even know her name. She just rolls with the fleet and acts like a big shot. Some dyke probably.
Hey now.
I haven't seen her for days.
Now it's not a big deal for him anymore. This is how he saves face. Where exactly is her lorry?
Past the monument. Down there. He waves south. The Green Temple. Now leave me the fuck alone, okay?
A small temple by the monument. Green. He turns to you. Let's get into that lorry. Looks like you got his adrenaline up too. Sure. So we got some new information. We've got to look for a green lorry down south of the monument. That sounds pretty easy, you know? There aren't too many green cars here. They're all very dystopian gray and like covered in snow. Is this green or yellow? I can't tell. Kim, am I colorblind? Am I like I'm just too drunk? I'm pretty sure this is the one. Looks green to me. We'll just walk around. Abandoned lorry. This green. It is green. Look at that, it's green. Fallen A to Z Contemporain is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen better days. This must be the one he told us about, unless he was lying. The lieutenant peeks inside. Sure, let's peek in the window. The glass in the side window is tinted and covered with dust. You can barely make out the shape of the seat and two steering levers. It feels like you're peeking into someone's home. Inside is private, cozy, warm, dusty too. Try the door handle. Maybe we can, like... I don't know if people understand this, but back in the old days, cars used to have these little handles for rolling down the windows. They didn't always have electronic, like, windows, where you just press a button and it would go up or down. You had to roll it with your own hand, and it would be like a cranking motion, up or down. I miss those days, you know? Now I have a car with, electronic windows, and I always wonder to myself, what'll happen if, like, the battery fails and I get stuck and I have to break my way out? Like, I don't have, like, those little window rollers to roll down the windows mechanically. I have to rely on the electronic systems. I don't like that. I really don't. It makes me anxious. Make me feel old. Car from just 4 years ago had manual windows. Yeah, they are better in a way, aren't they, right? I'm sorry for making you feel old. My first car had manual windows, and I haven't had electronic windows, thinking about it, until very recently. Couple years. Let's go with a couple yeah, a couple years. Was it 4 years? I don't know. Maybe a little fewer than 4 years. Maybe a little more. It's hard to tell. Time blurs together. I also prefer the mechanical windows. It just feels more in your control, right? When you have the mechanical system, you don't have to rely on the electronics, right? You don't have to turn your car on to open your windows or to close them. That's something I hate. I don't like having to start my car in order to open or close my windows. I feel like that's a horrible design decision. You know? Like, I should be able to close my windows if I stop my car in a parking space and I forgot, oh, yo, I have to go into the store, but I left my windows down. What am I gonna do? Well, I guess I have to start my car back up again. They're nice. Yeah. Harder to fix, more to go wrong. Absolutely correct. I can't fix modern electronic windows. I don't understand electronic systems nearly well enough. I'm just a man who licks rocks and bites into clay, right? That's what I do. I don't understand electronics at all. Not really my strong suit. Absolutely. There are a lot of different ways that could go wrong. Wires could end up being broken, chewed, or oxidized. Have you ever seen like an aluminum wire that's been oxidized? They grow the most ridiculous hair out of them, right? And they end up shorting all the time. The cheap wires are just absolutely disgusting. And they barely have like a couple years of a lifespan on them. And I don't know. It's just very sad. Going with the theme of Hyde doesn't... That's right. When I get into my Model T, my Ford Model T, when I hand crank the two-stroke engine of my Ford Model T, I don't even know if it's a two-stroke. It's probably a four-stroke engine. Maybe you're more mechanically inclined than I am. I don't remember whether the Model T was a two-stroke or a four-stroke engine. Doesn't matter. I really don't fit in with the times. Everything's controlled by electronic computer chips, and it's just like beyond me. Unlike... Yes, I'm not gonna tell you what I actually drive. Then I could be tracked down, you know, Diana? That's not gonna happen. How are we getting into this, Kim? How are we opening this can of sardines? Use the pry bar to smash the window open from the inside. Open it from the inside. Great idea, Kim. Smash the window. I don't know how good it is, but this investigation has taken long enough. We can't afford it to take any longer. 3%. Kim. That's not gonna help. But let's see if we can fix this with, how do we get to our inventory? There we are. Sure. There's our pry bar. Look at that, Kim. We equipped it. I do not have a Model T. I've seen Model Ts in person. They're very cool. And you know the best part about a Model T? They're made of metal. They're not made of these cheap plastic materials that just crumple like, I don't know, a paper accordion. In some sense, the crumple zones of modern vehicles are amazing engineering. In another sense, they just, I don't know, they make me feel very unsafe. They're made of plastic and they're designed to just destroy themselves so you don't get destroyed. They are better. You're absolutely right. Crumple zones work on the laws of the laws of physics, and yeah, the energy that goes into pushing them into crumples doesn't go into crushing your body like a human puppet. More damage to the car, less damage to you. Absolutely correct. Yeah. On the other hand, if you were just driving a vehicle made of pure steel, I think most of the energy would just go into the other car with its crumple zones, and you'd be fine, so long as you were buckled up in your car, right? Like, you would just smash through this accordion of a different car, right? I think that's how it would work. Ooh, not good, we failed. Pry bar in hand, you take a hard swing at the window. A loud thunk rings out, and the pry bar bounces back, leaving a tiny spider web on the glass. Here's the thing. Most car windows are made of very specialized glass. They're closer to aluminosilicates, things like rubies and sapphires and borosilicates, than actual glass. Actual glass being a sort of amorphous silicon dioxide. So these aluminosilicate glasses are not necessarily harder, although some of them can be. They tend to be more resilient to breaking, in the sense that they don't shatter nearly as well. They have more... What's the right word for this? It isn't tensile strength, it isn't elasticity. It isn't even... They aren't quite as brittle, right? They're more amorphous, I think is the word for it. And being amorphous isn't bad. They can be broken quite easily. I will not tell you how to break into these cars very easily, but I will tell you that there are very easy ways to do it. And using a pry bar isn't the best way of doing it. You want to use something harder than a pry bar. Yeah. God damn, maggot. Drag your ass to the gym and do some reps right now. I'd really rather not. The window appears to be shatterproof. It's not shatterproof, it's just shatter resistant. I'm sorry it didn't happen. Really? Hell yeah, hit it again. Another futile thunk sounds in the brisk coastal air. This has been hard enough. No need to make it any harder. The lieutenant takes the pry bar from you and gestures for you to step back. No short warning. Oh, Kim, you're gonna do it? He smashes into the window. Droplets of glass fly everywhere, shattering over the lorry floor and pavement. Just reach in now. Nice. Well done, Kim. He nods and gives you the whole back. Went better than I expected. Open it from the inside. Sure thing, Kim. The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. The cabin inside is plastered with the old movie posters, actresses' smiles from the wall. There's a radio transmitter in the wall. There's a radio transmitter in the... There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered across near the pedals. Hyde hits me in his Model T in my modern car, killing me instantly. I've never driven a Model T, and I've never, to my knowledge, hit another human being in a vehicle. I have been hit by vehicles. In fact, I have been hit by my own vehicle. But I have never hit anyone else's vehicle as far as I know. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about that. I don't own a Model T. I wish I did. They're very cool. Probably not very gas efficient. And if I remember correctly, Fords did not have the ability to back up for quite a while. So they had to go straight. And if they wanted to go backwards, they had to turn around in like a 3-point turn. Yeah. Kim's the MVP as always, of course he is. I'm not strong enough. How what? How are you hitting your own car? Okay. That's a story, right? In high school, I want to say it was senior year of high school for me. The movie Zombieland came out, right? Hard. Yeah, you got me tangenting now. So senior year, the movie Zombieland came out. I was a huge fan of zombie movies, zombie media in general at that point. So the first time I went to see Zombieland, I cosplayed as a zombie. I got myself some makeup and some liquid latex, and I made myself some fake blood, and I tore some clothing. And I even got some gelatin with some red food coloring mixed with coffee creamer. Coffee creamer makes everything opaque, so it's very useful for making opaque colors for fake bloods and stuff. But the second time, I decided to go see the movie. Because yes, absolutely, I went to see Zombieland twice in theaters. I took a friend or two with me, right? Yeah, I took a couple friends with me. And when I did, I parked a parking lot. And I decided, you know what? This is fun. We're just gonna go into the parking lot. We're gonna drive here. We're gonna go into the movie theater. So I handed my keys to one of my friends because she asked for them. She said something about leaving something in the car. I don't know. She obviously didn't leave anything in the car. She got into the driver's seat and immediately started. So I got in front of it, and as she jokingly pressed into me with my own car, I pretended to get crumpled under my my own car's collision. That's essentially how it went. Zombieland was such a great movie, by the way. Like, I was not expecting to find Bill Murray in it. Teenagers. Yes. Technically, yes. I was a teenager, yeah. I was one of the... Oh, I shouldn't say that. I didn't fail any grades or anything. I wasn't held back or anything. I was just one of the older kids in my class because of the cutoff dates. So yeah, I was probably 18 at that point. If you want to do the math, you can go ahead and figure it out. I was 18 when Zombieland came out. Go ahead. I don't care. What are we doing here? The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. Cabin inside is plastered with old movie posters. Actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered near the pedals. Let's look at those actresses, yeah? These are movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films. In the 20s, the teens, even the 90s of the last century. Oh god, can you imagine that? 1990. Whew. Already established we're both old. It's true, I'm very much part of the Jimmy Durante crowd, you know? You're only as old as you feel. If you're very young at heart, then that means you're very young yourself, yeah? It's just, my heart's always felt like, I don't know, a geriatrics. And not just like a normal geriatrics. Like a geriatric that subsists on nothing but McDonald's fast food and, I guess, cigarettes, Pall Malls, unfiltered Camels. That's what my heart feels like, right? That's always been what my heart felt like. I've never been young at heart, yeah. Movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films, yes. One of them particularly catches your eye, a centerfold of an ingenue attached right above the back seats. I don't know what that word is. It's French. I don't speak French. I will study the centerfold, however. The actress is draped in a sheath dress, one of her shoulders bared. Faded remains of an autograph run across a poster. She's looking past the camera. Feeling of tenderness washes over you. A longing even, perhaps. A gentle tragedy. I'm a fossil? No wonder we seem to get along. You like fossils, right? I do like fossils. Yeah. If you're a fossil, you have like a 90% chance of being in my good books. I know I talk about trilobites a lot, but it's not just trilobites. I like a lot of invertebrates. In fact, I would probably enjoy vertebrates quite a bit. The only problem is I never really had much of an opportunity to study vertebrate fossils in their natural habitat. Most of the rocks that I have been accustomed to, no matter where I've gone, even when I've traveled halfway across the country, have been Paleozoic in origin. So the only vertebrate fossils that I could feasibly find would be things like fishes. And I've just never found very many fish fossils. But yeah, I do enjoy fossils, and I do enjoy evolutionary paleobiology. It's fantastic stuff, and it's all speculative, of course, but I enjoy it. It made me feel like I was understanding something that no one else had seen for hundreds of millions of years. I don't think I can ever adequately describe how I've felt when I open a rock with a hammer and I see something after picking apart the rock that hasn't seen the light of day in over 300 million years. I want you to imagine that. You smash a rock with a hammer, and you find something on the inside of that rock that hasn't touched sunlight in 400 million years. And you're the first living thing in 400 million years that has seen that. You're the first human, the only human that has ever seen this specific thing in that rock. This specific organism. I can't even describe it. It's a lot like describing the feeling of, I imagine, discovering an entirely new continent. Like, you'd have to go back to Christopher Columbus and be like, yeah, that's what it's like. Being the first to discover something so remarkable. I can't even... Words fail, you know? You just have to do it yourself sometime. And you have to really appreciate being the first human, the only human, potentially the only human to ever see this particular thing. I don't know. I find that remarkable. It really tickles my fancy as a human with the sense of exploration that I think our species has. Tried finding fossils a few times, never had luck. Yeah, it really depends on the type of rocks you're looking in, right? I don't mean to laugh, that's just not sober laughter. It really depends. Some rocks just are not fossiliferous. And that is actually a word, fossiliferous. It means containing fossils. Go figure. Not every... How should I start this sentence? Every rock type represents a different paleo environment in which sediment was deposited, right? So, black shales, for example, often represent very deep marine environments. Places where you would find practically no life at all. Nothing but deep marine snow. So if you've ever seen like Planet Earth, the documentary, or Blue Planet, and you saw deep marine snow in those documentaries where there are these organic materials which are no bigger than a snowflake raining down upon the sea floor. That's about all you'd find. And maybe you'd find a crinoid fossil or something, because crinoids are gross, and they're practically walking flowers, and I hate them. But, there isn't really much life to be there. And even if there were, there isn't necessarily much sediment to accumulate quickly enough to preserve it. Yeah. So some fossil, or some rocks are just not fossiliferous. So it's completely understandable. Went to a shelly areas? Yeah. Little ammonite. No one else found anything. If you're talking shelly areas, Shelly areas, you're probably talking deep marine, especially if you're talking ammonites. Ammonites were probably until the Cretaceous, right? So anywhere between a couple 100 million years to about 60 million. That's not helpful. I know. It's not. It's really not helpful. That's a very wide range. And the shells themselves would have been picked up and deposited in a wide range of paleo environments, just because they would have gone carried by the ocean currents, but probably deep marine if you didn't find too many. The shells themselves would have been made of calcite or aragonite, so they probably would have been preserved fairly well, which is why they could have lasted in these environments, which weren't quickly burying them in sediment. Yeah, that's probably the problem you had there. It was just a not fossiliferous environment. Anything organic would have decayed. Planet Earth was great. Weird thing to mention. While donating blood. Here's the thing. I have the original DVDs for Planet Earth and Blue Planet. I know exactly where my Blue Planet DVDs are. I don't know where my Planet Earth DVDs are. But, yeah. I bought those in high school on DVD because I enjoyed them so very much. And when my high school science club, which I was president of, elected unanimously, I didn't even run. They just elected me. Yeah, I let them play that on a projector for an event. Isopods like lobsters and krill? Yeah, okay. Isopods, lobster, and krill. Well, krill are a little bit different, but isopods and lobsters are definitely bottom feeders, and they're very gross. They're arthropods. They're Are they crustaceans? Actually, no. I don't think they are crustaceans. Isopods and lobsters are very gross creatures. They eat rotting, decaying detritus. I don't like them, and I don't like eating them. I've never eaten an isopod. I have eaten lobster. Kind of regret it. They're not great. Krill can be different. Krill are very widespread. There are actually freshwater krill as well. So, here's the thing. If you've ever eaten naturally pink trout or naturally pink salmon, usually they're pink because they've eaten freshwater krill. And krill themselves can exist in a wide variety of habitats. Not necessarily always the bottom of the ocean. A lot of them can exist suspended in the ocean columns, yeah? Pillbugs. Pillbugs are cute little friends. The interesting thing about pillbugs as isopods is that they are terrestrial, and yet they have gills. Pillbugs are these very strange little isopods. They... As far as I'm concerned, they're kind of like half-evolved organisms. I think they probably share a lot in common with some of the first arthropods to ever walk on land. And if you look at the fossil record, the first arthropods ever to walk on land were probably things like Eurypterids or giant sea scorpions, which are very different from an isopod in a lot of morphological ways, but they're still arthropods. Love them. Very cute. Yeah, pillbugs are very cute. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love all arthropods. I've got a big soft spot for the hard, crunchy organisms out there. That's what I always used to say. Little ball guys. As far as I know, there's only one species of pillbug that can actually completely enroll themselves. And all the other ones have partial enrollment. Trilobites, there were several species and probably several genuses of trilobites that could enroll themselves. I don't mean to say that one's better than the others, but if we're talking about enrollment and arthropods, yeah, trilobites were definitely better at enrolling. But yeah, as far as I know, there's really only the one species of pillbug that can completely enroll itself. Very interesting structure to it. It's not like the structure used in trilobites. In trilobites, there's a cephalic doublure, a little notch in the underside of the cephalon, where their pygidium can kind of hook into it. I don't think isopods have that. Not even the pillbugs that can completely enroll. I don't think they have that doublure. That little notch on the underside of their exoskeleton. I've not seen it, if they do have it. Bottom feeders are gross, but they evolved in a really interesting like pistol shrimp. Yeah. Spider crabs. Oh. I really hate crabs. Nature loves crabs, right? Like, it's a meme that nature has created all these organisms in the shape of a crab. But it's true, like, ticks look like crabs, some species of ants look like crabs. A lot of different arthropods have evolved the crab-like body shape. Even some spiders. And they're arachnids. And that's kind of gross. I don't like them. But it's very interesting. The amount of variation, right? Like, I actually have a copy of one of the volumes of the treatise on invertebrate paleontology on my shelf right now. I can't remember which one it is. I don't have the complete set. I got it for free. I got one of them for free. And I'm pretty sure it has, what were they? They were kind of like shelled shrimp. I can't remember what they're called. Very tiny organisms. Not isopods. Something like that. Something pod. Anyway. They're very interesting organisms. And that they're very differently constructed morphologically. They're very similar. But they have different amounts of segments. And their segmentation is very different itself. Here's a fun fact. Organisms in the arthropod group often have either uniramous or biramous legs, right? Uniramous meaning one-branched. So that they're basically just walking spindly little things like you'd find on a spider. Biramous appendages are very different. That means two branches. So they have the spindly spider-like leg, and then like this gill, this little flap of gill that is just attached to it. Oh, it's so very gross. Don't have problems. Animals with long legs. Yeah. Spider legs make you... Oh, yeah. I can understand that. Like, spider crabs are just very strange looking. Like, if you saw a spider crab on land, first of all, it would be crumbled in upon itself. It would be against the ground because it couldn't maintain its structure. It could not raise itself off the floor. It would not be able to hold itself up. Second of all, it'd be just very gross looking. Having these huge spindly legs. There's a reason why giant spiders are a common horror trope, right? In horror movies. It's not very strange at all to think about arthropods being these scary movie monsters. Know what we should do? Evolutionary. How would that even work? I don't understand how evolutionary bioarchaeology ASMR videos would work. Here we go. We're digging up this ancient arthropod. Can you feel this? Let me just scratch this. Brush it with a toothbrush. Yeah. You like the sound of that toothbrush? Yeah, can you hear that toothbrush going? I don't know how that would work. I have considered doing just you talking quietly about evolution. Yeah. I have considered talking about the evolution of trilobites, especially because that just happens to be what I was going to talk about. That's what I studied, you know? That's what I did with my undergraduate. I didn't go to parties too often. It can involve toothbrushes. It's not ASMR if I'm just whispering. Okay? I need to do triggers that influence that nerve response that is ASMR, Diana. That's how it works. That's what ASMR is, right? That little response that causes tingles to go up and down your spine. Yeah, that's what ASMR is. But yeah, when I was in my undergraduate program, I spent just inordinate amount of time studying trilobites in the field. All of my free time went to it, in fact. Going to parties? No. Networking? No. Spending time with my then girlfriend? No. Didn't happen. Did not happen. I went out to the outcrops and I studied trilobites. Which probably is why I ended up single. A good part of it, at least, yeah. No. I don't regret it, you know? I really enjoyed studying trilobites as much as I did, and I enjoyed collecting as many specimens as I have. I wish I could find all of them. I don't know where they all are. You ever have that problem? Where you've collected things and you know you have them. You know you collected them, you remember what they are. You just can't find them. I can't find my isoteles. I can't find my flexicalamines. I can't find a lot of my Dominites. Those are all different trilobite genuses, if you don't know. I don't know where they are. I really don't. It's very sad. Evolutionary bioarchaeology ASMR feels an insect crawling on them. Ah. Oh yes. The itchy skin phenomenon. I don't know what that is. Like, at any given moment, there are probably exoparasites trying to burrow into your skin at the order of magnitudes of tens per square centimeter, right? Maybe even hundreds or thousands. These tiny little exoparasites are probably trying to burrow into your skin right now, as we speak. Can you imagine that? Just your skin just getting itchy as they're trying to burrow into it. They're doing it right now. And wherever you're feeling that scratch, that's where they are. I don't think that'd be a very fun ASMR. I don't think that's the intent of ASMR. But it is true. And I don't like the itchiness either. Sorry, Diana. Sorry. It's true though, you know? Making my package. That's where they are, Diana. That's where they are. Right on your back. I'm sorry, that's not true at all. They're all over your body. Right now. Every square inch. Yeah. Sorry. You asked for it, Diana. You asked for it. I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad talking about this. I don't feel bad doing it. Wait, doesn't she resemble someone you know? But you can't put a finger on whom exactly. We're absolutely going to take a closer look at this centerfold. We need to know, right? The actress is draped in a sheath dress, one of her shoulders bared. We already know this. A feeling of tenderness washes over you, a longing even, perhaps, and gentle tragedy. Wait. So we're not going to get any more information. That's enough of the posters then. Did not ask for... If you didn't ask for bugs crawling on you, then why did you ask for bioarchaeology ASMR? I don't know how to help you here, Diana. Do you want bugs crawling on you or not? Here's a fun fact. Maggots don't actually eat living flesh. They only eat rotten flesh. So if you ever have a wound and you put a maggot in the wound, they'll only eat the rotten flesh. So there are actually medical treatments out there that rely on maggots eating the rotten flesh and leaving the not rotten flesh to be. So if you have really bad burns or cuts or festering wounds, perhaps your doctor will throw maggots on your wounds. And it's perfectly valid medical procedure. It's grounded in science at least, so long as they're not really making waste products on your open wounds. Those are not the same. They're not the same thing? I'm not rotting. I think we're all rotting, right? From the moment we're born, we start to rot. I was thinking about this earlier today. I was thinking about neural connections in the brain, and how my brain is just full of rot. Ideas that are just not great. And I thought neuronal connections are a lot like mycelium, right? The underground root structures, if you will, of fungal organisms and fungal colonies. Neuronal connections are a lot like that. So it is very much like rot. But here's the thing again. Have you ever seen those expensive spa treatments where they have these live fish and you stick your feet in the live fish pool and the live fish will just eat the dead skin off your feet? It's essentially what the maggots do. Only they have like 6 legs instead of 4 fins. You know what I mean? They don't have gills. They can live in your dead flesh for as long as they like until they turn into flies. And who knows? Maybe the fish can turn into flies. Where am I going with this? I prefer the fish? Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. I don't really like either of them. I have seen living fish as they come to the surface of bodies of water and they attack living things. They eat dog food, whatever you want to throw in the water. They'll just go after it. So, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. But it is a thing that happens, and maggots, just like fish, are a perfectly valid procedure, right? Things that someone would pay a great deal of money for. Yeah. The actresses and the rare actor all smile you. All smile you? Really? Okay. Weird English. All smile you a warm goodbye. A radio transmitter is attached to the dashboard and a toolbox sits under the driver's seat. I'll tell you what, we're gonna do this again next time. You close the rusty old lorry door. Yeah. We definitely need to return some time later. He nods at the lorry. We didn't get enough. I know, Kim. I know. But I was talking about maggots eating dead flesh out of people's wounds. I think I've talked too much, you know, Kim? Have you ever been there, Kim? I think we've been there. We're gonna do a actual save here. And, I really... I was really dreading coming back, being live, having a live stream. That's why I didn't really announce this. I haven't felt up to it for a couple weeks now. I know, it's very strange. We had a great time, I hope, talking about maggots and trilobites and isopods and a whole host of other things like spider crabs. I definitely talked a lot and played me. Diana, you're being very generous with me. There is no way I spent 25 minutes playing the game. I did not play 25 minutes of gameplay. I maybe got 10 minutes there. I know. We talked to Measurehead, and we came down to this lorry. That's all we did. There was no reason for it. We didn't do much. We spent about 2 hours, 20 minutes, just talking. Yeah, but I had a fun time, you know? I had a very good time. And I really want to thank you all for showing up. You didn't have to. And I didn't announce it, so I don't know how you did get here. It's very strange that anyone found this. Right, but it didn't... Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. That's true. It's fine. It's true. I haven't even talked to the Frit girl yet, I don't think. We talked to Measurehead's babe. I don't think I've been to the Frit yet, have I? I haven't bought my smokes, no. Yeah. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad you all showed up. It was really nice to see you all. It's been a couple weeks since I've streamed, and I will try my hardest to get back to my usual schedule. Although, it might take me a couple of days. I have a dentist appointment tomorrow that I have to wake up early for, which is why we're ending as we are. Wait till I get to Morel. Oh yes, Morel. I love Morel. Let me tell you, I'm gonna get a double shot of those pheromones, okay? Let me die. We're gonna get all covered in those pheromones. I would want nothing less from Morel. I had a lot of fun. As I said, we're gonna end it here. Thank you all for showing up. I really had a good time. You all helped me get through what I wasn't really expecting to be a very easy stream. Lay it on thick. That's right. Get you that double shot of Axe body spray. Oh, maybe you're not old enough to remember the Axe body spray commercials where they would just have literally flocks of women going after the person sprayed with Axe body spray. It does not work like that in real life. Please don't do that. Please do not lay it on thick like that. Subtle is better. So, I'm gonna see you all next time. Thank you all for coming. I love you all, but for now, Hyde out. See you all next time. Remember the chocolate dude had? That one was messed up. Good night? Yeah, thank you. Good night. I hope to see you all again soon too. Hopefully next Sunday. Once per week, remember? See you all again soon. Hyde out.